Okay, I will call the special meeting of Glendale City Council for January 31st to order. Roll call, please.
Council members Garpetian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
Mayor Devine.
Here. What's next, please?
Agenda for the January 31st, 2017 special public meeting of the City Council was posted on Friday, January 27, 2017 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Director of Community Development regarding Downtown Glendale Association's calendar year 2016 annual report and calendar year 2017 budget for the Downtown Glendale Community Benefits District. 1A is motion accepting budget.
Thank you. Mr. Ochoa?
Yes, ma'am. What we have here, actually all three items are related in that they are various examples of our economic development public-private partnerships whereby the city as a business participating in business improvement district, property-based business improvement district, and then in the case of Adams Square has we are asking one more time that we suspend that BID, that assessment levy for another year. But to give you the details as to how these assessments are distinct, and beginning with the DGA, the Downtown Glendale Association, we'll have our Principal Economic Development Officer, Jennifer McLean, come up and give you an overview. Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Ochoa. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and members of council. The item before you today is the Downtown Glendale Association's calendar year 2016 annual report and a 2017 budget for the Downtown Glendale Community Benefit District. The Downtown Community Benefit District is managed by the Downtown Glendale Association, known as the DGA, as a nonprofit and is responsible for improving the downtown and attracting new customers to the nearly 800 businesses in the district through marketing and sidewalk operations and beautification efforts. The DGA, in the capacity of the advisory board, is required by local ordinance to submit an annual budget that estimates the expenditures necessary to implement its work plan. The City Council must review and approve that work plan, which is why we are here today. The DGA is comprised of volunteer board members representing different property interests in downtown. That includes Joe Stiddick, the president of DGA, Raul Porto, Rick Lemo, who is here today with Caruso Affiliated, Helen McDonough, Philip Lansafame with the City of Glendale, and Brent Gardner with Glendale Galleria. The staff of the DGA is operated by New City America, and its executive director, Marco Lamandri, is here today, as well as the operations director, Nick Lemo. Now I would like to introduce the board president, Mr. Joe Stiddick, to provide further detail about the work plan that you are considering today. Mr. Stiddick?
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members and city staff. It's nice to be here today. I'm glad we have a non-rainy day. We all didn't have to swim here today or paddle. I'm here to give you the background on the DGA activities through 2016 and kind of look forward to 2017 with some of our thoughts and ideas. There's a PowerPoint presentation which will run to your right that parallels pretty much what I'll be talking about.
You'll have to control the presentation with that mouse, right?
I'm going to control it? Okay, so is it a click away? Click away. All right. Attractiveness of downtown Glendale. One of the primary goals of the DGA is to improve the conditions, street conditions, sidewalk conditions, communication with people coming to the community. And we do that through our staff that works aggressively to keep the city of downtown Glendale looking good and clean. We believe that through those activities that the street conditions have improved considerably over the last 4 or 5 years, and we will continue to do that in 2017. And let's see if we can walk you through these. So these are some of the streetscapes, landscaping, building fronts. This is our crew that does power washing on the streets and implements plant change, seasonal changes to continue to keep Brand Boulevard in pristine condition. Our operating budget, which you have in front of you for 2016, approximately 55% of our operating budget goes towards sidewalk operations and landscaping. In addition to that, we support the Alex Theater, Glendale Arts, and we continue to keep a reserve. This last year was about 4.3%. Next year, we're targeting 5%. So fiscally, we're responsible. We want to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve in terms of unknown costs that may arise. This all leads to benefiting business attraction to downtown Glendale. If you look at the community today, two of the principal metrics that one would want to look at is what's happening with vacancies, both in office and retail, and what's happening with rates. Both of those are, well, one of them is increasing, one of them is decreasing. The vacancy is decreasing. Rates continue to rise on Brand Boulevard. Office space continues to fill. Office rates continue to expand and increase. Our goal is to continue to promote the downtown and provide an environment where not only the business is attracted to downtown Glendale, their employees like coming downtown, walk to the restaurants, walk to the new businesses, and of course that will also impact the new residential development that's ongoing and continuing to strive towards the 18-hour downtown Glendale, which we all have looked to accomplish over the years. Last year, the City of Glendale developed a lot of new businesses. Here's just a partial list of those. Many of those are restaurants right on brand. Some are in Glendale Galleria, and of course some are in Americana. Others are just new businesses on brand. So it's very significant, the increase in restaurant activity on Brand Boulevard. That's nearly tripled over the last couple of years. You can walk Brand Boulevard now at daytime. There are a lot of people walking Brand, going to different restaurants, a lot of choices, and we hope to see that continue. A lot of national companies are still looking at Glendale very diligently. We receive calls daily on people that want to come to Glendale, businesses that want to move to Glendale. I'm sure Jennifer and Phil and their staffs, have those same inquiries and have been very, very instrumental in assisting us to find spots for those people that want to come to Glendale. At the presentation of our annual meeting last year, the City of Glendale asked us to address Maryland Avenue. It was kind of a lost child there, good for traffic, nothing much was happening there. So based on that, with Jennifer's assistance and her guidance, we undertook to change the south portion of Maryland between Wilson and Broadway to a walking paseo. Tech Week kicked that off, really. It was very successful. The decision was to continue operating that. I know we had a little disconcerting from some of the business people in the community. They were concerned that people wouldn't be able to get into the parking structure, but the reality is that the way the city orchestrated that, there's entrance to the north end of the parking structure, and there's also entrance and exit to the south end of the structure. So far, knock on wood, that seems to be working. We'll continue that. The city will monitor it. Economic development will continue to look at it and make sure that that's a viable alternative for us. Office, let's click through some of the scenes that you can see. A lot of these shots were during Tech Week. Weather was good, and there was a lot of people attended. I mean, this is kind of an unusual set of circumstances for any downtown business district to have this level of activity, but that will continue. Office attraction, I mean, office rates are and residential, those are all those properties are continuing to fill up. It'll take a little while. Part of what the city, the DGA does for downtown Glendale is to do our seasonal displays. This just happens to be a picture of the fall Halloween period. This is some of the Christmas decorations. We contract out with third parties to provide the installation and takedown of these items. When we sent out an RFP to the companies that provide this kind of service, we paralleled the same dates that were in the prior RFPs from the City of Glendale. So the dates were the same. Without taking a lot of additional time, I think that pretty well summarizes what we've accomplished. Our goal is to continue that collaboration between the city, and I must say that we have terrific collaboration with all the city departments. Sometimes we have different approaches to a solution, and I think it's that buffering against each other with different ideas is what allows us to continue to polish the jewel city of Glendale. Be happy to take any questions if I could. Anything,
questions, comments?
Anything specifically?
Mr. Najarian?
Just a comment. I think we're all very pleased with the way Brand Boulevard looks. I can't, in the 35 or so years that I've lived in Glendale, I can't ever recall a time when it was so well kept, manicured, as well as the displays, the seasonal displays and the flowers, and the do you call them ambassadors? Who are those
Yes,
guys?
our ambassadors that are employees of
Yeah,
the DGA.
so, who are always there. Either they're helping someone figure out the parking meter or pointing them towards Porto's or any other spot. So it's really amazing. I mean, I would put Brand Boulevard up against any street of any city in the country.
Terrific.
Maybe even the world. I mean, you don't see a cigarette butt or a gum wrapper at all. That being said, the Chess Park area still is a little bit rough, I think, and if you and maybe staff can get together and see what we can do to, I guess there's a lot of use apparently, and I see
that area is in transition, Councilman, and I think Mr. Lanzafame can address that and probably will address it. There's a restaurant that's under construction there, and they have a master lease on a portion of what was the Chess Park. So I think you're going to see a tremendous evolution in that whole area, but I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that was the only iffy part to an otherwise pristine boulevard. I mean, I think I'm proud that the Brand Boulevard is our signature street in Glendale, and I think it reflects on the commitment that council makes towards keeping a well-run and beautiful city.
Thank you, and we'll continue to put forth those efforts to make it happen.
And thank you.
Before
I call on any of the other council members, I do have a card, so let's hear from Rick Lemo before we continue.
Do we have to? Rick, it's going good. Don't blow it.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, especially you, Councilmember Najarian. I wanted to voice an opinion on behalf of Crusoe Affiliated, as well as being a board member of the DGA. You may remember, I'm sure you will all remember, back in the days when we were actually entitling the Americana brand, one of our goals was to make certain that we had a positive impact away from the Americana brand that would sort of little by little move all the way up Brand Boulevard and in other areas of the city. And the way that opportunity was presented to us was the forming of this community benefit district. And so we are pleased to be a major contributor and have that kind of positive impact up the boulevard. And we are also grateful that the DGA spends time on a regular basis with some of our people at Americana, where we train on hospitality and other things like that. And we too have received literally dozens and dozens of comments from New York, San Francisco, outside the area, on how good this whole city is doing. On the national level, a couple on the international level, and I think the DGA has been a good contributor to that. We stay within budget. We do a very solid job, and so from the Crusoe standpoint, we wanted you to know how pleased we were with the way things have been moving forward, and hope that you too feel the same way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council member Sinani. Okay.
Thank you. So thanks for the report. Very informative, and I think
Should I pay attention to this 9 seconds left, 8 seconds left?
Not really, not at all. We visually observe these changes happen, and we visually observe the work that's being done by the DGA in downtown. So I have questions, probably more for staff, but I'd like to get your input as well. The farmers market. We used to have a pretty nice farmers market and sort of moved it around. We have that portion of Maryland that's been blocked off, and again, I think it's just the start of what is to be a viable promenade in the future. But there's enough space there for the farmers market. Why don't we move the farmers market to that blocked off portion of Maryland? Because I don't think we found a home for it yet.
Yeah, jump in.
Well, thank you, Council Member. So that's a great point, and one that we've been eyeing as well. One of the challenges that we've identified during the pilot program is, as a safe blockade, we've been utilizing those planters. They're about 700-pound planters, and they're difficult to move in and out. With the farmers markets, we would need to have something where trucks would be allowed to go in and access and utilize that space. So one of the alternatives that we're considering now that we've experienced and have received feedback on the Paseo is considering putting bollards instead of the planters. And that would allow us to more freely remove the bollards, let the trucks move in, and have a farmer's market. So I'm very happy to hear that you are eyeing that as well, because that's something that we would like to recommend on staff side.
And do we have an estimation of how much time it'll require for us to?
All that comes back to you with your overall evaluation of the Paseo, and so that'll be in February. So we'll have ideas of cost and everything else. There's still the question of the engineering on the parking structure that we briefed council on. We're trying to wrap that into this overall evaluation as well, so we know what the context ultimately will be by way of cost and logistics. But it is coming back to you as requested.
Okay. You guys want to add anything, or we'll hear it back from you when this issue comes back?
That's correct. As Mr. Ochoa mentioned, we're preparing that memo for the council report, including the cost estimates. So we'll be presenting that back to you in February.
Okay.
Part of that analysis
Thank
will be
you.
revisiting with the original operator that we had, or the last operator we had, which is one of the most successful in Southern California, to revisit what the makeup of the farmers market would be, what's successful, which type of opportunities are successful, which are not, because there are some that are not and some that are very successful. So I think when Jen gets back to you, that'll be part of what she'll report to you, is what our findings are in that area too.
So now to the issue of the decorations, the holiday decorations. I really like them. I think they really change the mood in downtown and make things very festive. But I do have a concern specifically regarding Christmas decorations. So let's get my date straight. January 4th, I was walking down or walking up Brand Boulevard, and I noticed that the little truck was picking up the Christmas decorations. Okay, January 4th, but about 40 to 50% of this city's population celebrates Christmas on the night of the 5th. So Christmas hadn't happened. Just mental note for you to not pick things up until after the 6th.
Sure. May I respond?
Please.
Our contract with our vendors called for them to remove decorations after January 10th, which is historically the date that the city has used. If you saw things being removed from Brand, it's very conceivable that some of those were damaged, because we did have some damaged items and we didn't want to leave them out. So I don't believe that, and I'll ask Nick, I don't believe that we removed all the decorations on Brand Boulevard on the 4th of January. But we are sensitive to that. We will make sure that in the future that our contract dates stay the same, no removal after the 10th, unless something is damaged or
Okay,
it needs to be
it could have
replaced.
been, all I'm saying is what I saw, which was a truck. The back was full of decorations that had been picked up.
We lost about 40% of our decorations to damage,
Vandalism?
to rain,
Oh,
to
okay.
vandalism. So
Well, that's
pretty
unfortunate.
significant. But irrespective, we understand, and
Okay,
we'll parallel
good.
that next year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Did we have any theft like they had in Montrose?
Nick, did we lose any to
Yes.
you?
Yes, all that was removed were...
You can come up. Thank you. So identify yourself.
Nick Lemo, Downtown Glendale Association. Well, the only decorations that were removed on that week of January 4th were damaged ones that were elk and snowmen that were damaged from the heavy rain that we had and winds. Those were just in the medians, and due to safety, primarily with automobiles, they needed to be removed. Due to it being after the first of the year, there were no more to purchase, so we brought them in and left everything that was intact.
And not vandalism, but any theft?
Yes, about 40 to 50% of the snowmen and elk were stolen off of the medians in the middle of the nights.
40%?
Yes, ma'am. And they were affixed down in multiple locations, down to where they would leave the power cord and just take the elk, so it was really pointless.
And you know what's unbelievable to me is that no one saw this going on. I can never believe that people don't see that happening. Maybe
Probably they
just
thought
they
some
were
maintenance
taking them
people,
away.
yeah.
You know, like you did. You know,
Probably they were stealing
yes,
this.
Yeah, they just thought people.
It was obviously
Wow.
it was
Wow.
DGA's truck, and they
Yeah.
were taken away.
Next
so-
year, more weight.
Yes, yeah, kind of really anchor them down a little bit better, I guess. Wow, okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Garpetian?
How you doing, Joe?
Good, thank you.
Good. It's good to see you. I just want to compliment you on the great work that you guys do in downtown. It looks very nice and clean, very presentable. I have a question on the budget. It says $925,000 assessment. Who pays for it? Is it the property owners or the businesses?
Very specific property owners in the DGA, downtown Glendale area.
So
That's a follow-up assessment that was put in place many years ago by the city of Glendale.
okay,
Or
so the
improvement
property
district.
owners pay for that.
Property owners are the ones that pay it. Now, potentially maybe the tenants are paying it through their camp charges or triple net charges. That's possible.
Got it. And speaking of the decorations, what is your yearly budget? Because it doesn't tell me here. Maybe it's part of that contingency. What's your yearly budget on the decorations, Christmas decorations?
50,000 plus.
50,000 for the entire downtown? Okay. One other suggestion that I have, and I asked around in the city, and they explained to me what it was, but it doesn't really sit well with me, is the banners. The banners, they all say Happy Holidays. I think we need to have the word Christmas in there. For me, I'm only one vote, this councilman. I want to see Merry Christmas or Happy New Year or Happy Hanukkah or whatever it is, whatever the banner is. I know they went by symbols of Christmas or Hanukkah, but I think it has to say, there's nothing wrong with it to say Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays.
Actually, we tried to be as non-secular as possible, and that's a very tight, narrow road to walk. We had 4 basic banners. Christmas tree, but pretty benign. A holiday package, and I'll pass this around and we can all take a look at it. A wreath, and then a candelabra. And there was some question that maybe this favored a particular race. The reality is this has 5 candles on it, and a menorah, which was the one that was brought up, has 9. So, totally endorse your recommendations, but when we look at the city attorney here, so what's our guidance?
Spend my
Yes, thank you, members of the City Council. This is really an important issue, and we did have a conversation about this in the context of a question about whether that was a menorah and whether certain religions were being favored over others. What it really boils down to is the First Amendment and the Establishment Clause, the separation of church and state. And so if it looks as though the government is favoring the establishment of one religious sect over another, that is what we're trying to avoid. So either we are opening the forum up to all religions and posting as many of them up there as we possibly can to show there's no favoritism or endorsement or establishment, or we step back, which is the conservative position that we have taken on the public's property, that we are endorsing any particular religion. And so it's because of the Establishment Clause that we've done that. I think everyone hears exactly what you're saying, but I think the conservative choice in order to protect the city from a violation of the Establishment Clause is that we approach it conservatively and with benign symbols of the holiday. And so that's the position that we've taken so far, and the reason why you don't see a banner saying Merry Christmas. Anyway, hopefully that answers your question.
Well, I understand, but this was not my comments was not about menorah or anything else. I just said every banner you have, they can indicate what they are, and if it's Christmas time, why doesn't it say Christmas? And if it's, I don't know, Chinese New Year's, why don't you have a banner say? We don't have a problem with any of them.
I mean, that's the issue. So
I mean,
And am I wrong? But if you did a variety, it would cost a whole lot more.
there's our guidance right there. This is the lady we listen to as it relates to what we can do and what we should not be doing downtown. I mean, if we can broaden it based on her guidance and direction, based on current law or issues that we have to deal with, then we'll do it.
I think we need to discuss this a little further because I don't see a problem with it. So,
be happy to discuss it at a future meeting.
Councilmember Najarian?
Yeah, just on that particular issue, otherwise I'd made my remarks. perhaps it would be better if the council insulates itself from this and that we give it complete authority to the DGA. We are still an agent at that point?
At that point, yeah, they're still an agent. It's our, in many cases, the property's our property. They're established by us as a, in the eyes of First Amendment jurisprudence, they're deemed to be a government agency, even though they're not. So that's sort of the problem. It still is subject within our review at that point.
Well, I understand. So, and I think you heard where council is on that. So I'm sure I encourage Mr. Stiddick and you and Mr. Lemo to get together and do the best thing without
And I think we
council's heavy
try
hand.
to do that on an annual basis.
Yeah. Okay. I understand the issues, though. It's tough.
Mr. Garpetian, are you?
Yeah, I don't know. Are we going to discuss this further in the upcoming, months or what have you, or not? That's what I wanted to know.
Why don't we do this? Why?
Because many cities you go, it says Merry Christmas or it says Happy Hanukkah or what have you. I understand where you're coming from, but we don't want to put one ahead of the other. But 90% of the population is Christian. What's wrong with by saying?
I think that just
I don't know.
that encapsulates it right there. To the extent that the connection immediately back to Christianity will get cited to you in the challenge that comes. I mean, as opposed to this is truly a non-secular type of celebration. The discussion would have to happen in the context absent discussion of specific religions. I would suggest he's the attorney, but I think you just put your finger on it right there.
I personally think that we should listen to our city attorney on this, the First Amendment issue, but that's my opinion. Are we ready to just kind of let this one go?
No, we're gonna have to discuss this further later on. But let it go. We can finish this item tonight. But I'd like to discuss it and see what are our options.
Is there a?
Perhaps a memo from the city attorney would be best.
Let's start there and then see where the council wants to go. Have future discussion, not related to this particular item, and we can bring that back if you'd like.
Okay. And I'm not sure if I understand Councilmember Garpetian's concern. I'm more concerned the other way around. It seems like one or two of the banners were more suggestive of a religion than the other ones. It seemed like some religious symbol was being favored over others. So that was my impression from driving up and down Brand. So I'm looking at it from the opposite side. It shouldn't be, right? That's the goal. There's separation of state and religion, and we can't be seen as promoting one or the other.
I think that the most, as we look to the future, and certainly DGA will have to figure this out, it may be even easier, although perhaps more frustrating to members of the council, that next year's banners feature snow men, snow people.
Be careful.
And to the extent that I hear what you're saying, and the candelabra. If you look closely at the picture, you can make all kinds of things out of it. A Christmas tree, give it a name. There's different elements that, depending on how far we want to go, folks, different sensitivities come to play. We can, if between what the council is telling us and what DGA intends, find ways to be entirely non-secular or suggestive in any way, shape, or form that gets to the point I think Mr. Sinanian's making, that some things are going to be more suggestive than others, even if they don't cross the lines that are established by the attorneys. So we can bring that back in the context of a memo, I think, from your office.
And maybe a direction we can take, if it's just a suggestion, is we have a very diverse community. We should put our brains together and figure out how to do something that's reflective of our cultural diversity within our community. That recognizes that it doesn't offend people, but it actually embraces and people can support it. So I think that would be one of our goals to look at this year.
Okay.
And I'll finish with, I have one question about the budget staff contract.
Yes.
Can you explain what that is exactly?
We contract with a third-party company. We've submitted for bid for third-party companies to do the actual management of the DGA for us, so that we don't have the staff to do that, because it's a volunteer board, and a lot of our board members are doing other things or running their business, so they don't really have the time to be involved in the minutia of employee issues.
And
So
that annual is 140,000?
correct. But that's going to be reviewed, and we may do a different process this year. We'll be back and let you know what we're going to do. But yeah, we contract with a third-party company to provide those services. It just makes much more sense. They can do it more cost-effectively than we can.
All righty. I agree with my colleagues that we are all very proud of the downtown, the district on brand. It always looks nice. It's clean. I've said this before at council meeting or at these meetings that as far as the decorations are concerned, a lot of the families in the community come down and take pictures for the holidays because they can't afford to have decorations at their homes. So what you're providing locally is very, very important. So thank you for a job well done.
Thank you, and I'll communicate that to our board.
Thank you. Okay, then do I have a motion to accept this Downtown Glendale Association's annual report?
So move.
Second?
Second. Roll call, please.
Council members Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Devine.
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item 2 is Director of Community Development regarding Montrose Shopping Park Business Improvement District Annual Work Plan, budget for calendar year 2017. 2A is a motion accepting budget.
And this is a more traditional BID that you come across in California. So to give you the overview will be Jennifer again.
Great. Well, second of three here. Thank you, Mr. Ochoa. So, Madam Mayor and members of council, before you now is the Montrose Shopping Park Business Improvement District Annual Work Plan for calendar year 2017. Each year, the MSPA, similar to DGA, is required by local ordinance to submit an annual budget that estimates the expenditures necessary to implement its work plan, which includes a variety of tools for marketing and downtown promotions, and promoting the district. As part of your council report, the Montrose Shopping Park Association has submitted a 2016 budget recap and a 2017 work plan. The requested action by the City Council is to accept the Montrose Shopping Park Association 2017 budget. Before we seek this action, I would like to invite Mr. Dale Dawson, Business Administrator of the MSPA, to go into further detail about these reports and to answer any questions that you may have. Mr. Dawson?
Good afternoon. Mr. Dawson's my dad, by the way. But thank you for having me, Madam Mayor, City Council, City staff, and Phil, Team Lanzafame. Awesome people. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Dale Dawson. I'm the Business Administrator and the Event Coordinator for the Montrose Shopping Park Association. And we are a tenant-based and merchant-driven BID. And there was a time when I remember an article in CV Weekly that described the MSPA Board of Directors as being basically inert, except for one or two individuals, historically speaking, one of whom is still with the association, the other is not. We now have a board that is extremely involved. The shopping park merchants are getting further involved. Committees are being formed. And I think that we're at a peak of really communicating with our constituency. The things that we do, and we're constantly trying to improve that so that everybody understands where their assessment dollars go. As you can see from the budget, the assessment dollars are not anywhere near even half the total, so there are other activities that bring in funding to the shopping park, and it is our mandate through the California Street and Highways codes to promote. So that's what we do. We have a very heavy events calendar. I'd like you all to invite you all to come out on Saturday before Valentine's Day, Saturday the 11th from 1 to 5. Charlie Chaplin will be handing out long-stemmed roses to all the ladies in town. We give out 500 roses every year, and they love it. And there's no strings attached. They just, do I have to pay for it? No, it's our gift to you. So that's a fun thing that we do for Valentine's Day. And then we've added an event you'll see in the budget this year that has both an income line and an expense line. And that's called a wine walk. And it's one of the things that we brought to the board as not just a fun event, but an income line, a moneymaker. Many of the other cities and communities do wine walks 1 or 2 times a year. We met when we went on the bus tour with Jennifer and Jackie Bartlow way back some months ago. We met with the folks at Claremont. They've been doing one for 19 years. They frankly pioneered it. So we picked their brain and took some ideas from Claremont to develop our own. It's the kind of event that doesn't close any streets, doesn't affect any vehicular traffic. It simply drives the people into the stores. All the events of a wine walk are in the businesses themselves. So you get your wristband, your tickets, your free logo wine glass, your map of where to go and who's pouring what, and then you go from store to store and taste. And now you're inside their business, and now you can talk to the owners and the managers. So that was added this year. The other historical events, some of them, well, let's see, Arts and Crafts is the biggest outdoor event in the city of Glendale, now in its 34th year. And that's always been a tremendous draw. The car show now in its 16th year. So we have some iconic events that we do that really pull tens of thousands of people through the Montrose Shopping Park. One that is not a retail event, but it is massively attended, and depending on who you ask on the board, they either like it or they don't. Halloween Spooktacular. But if you've ever been out to Montrose on a Halloween night, we get about 15,000 people crowding the streets, and we get tremendous help from GPD to get them out when we're done. It's an amazing night. So we do have a lot of fun with our events, and that's not all we do. We do a lot of marketing through social media, print advertising, and so forth. We're constantly improving that arena, and communicating with our communities and doing newsletters and handouts and everything we can do to let people know what we're all about. If you go to our website, shopmontrose.com, we're about to add the Wine Walk page. It's a brand new event, so follow us there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those things. I do want to mention a few things in terms of infrastructure. I want to thank certain council persons for helping us to get some grass back on the War Memorial. It looks absolutely marvelous. It's so much nicer that way. And I think we have targeted a couple of other areas, key areas in town, to return the turf. Thank you for that. Our historical markers that were placed throughout the town about a dozen years ago have all been replaced with brass plaques, and they're gorgeous. They look terrific. So we're very focused on our history because we've got a lot of it up there on the hill. And for the first time in my presentation said 48 years, I think it's more like 50 years, the MSP has its own brick and mortar headquarters. We've never had one before. We've always been kind of a floating shoebox in somebody's garage, kind of an internet thing. We now have joined with Glendale Police and occupied 3808 Ocean View, which was formerly entirely a cop substation, and now it's both. So we recreated their facility to their satisfaction, and we now occupy as well with them. So we have a headquarters. Yay, finally there. Our tenancy is usually pretty full. We don't really have openings for very long, and oftentimes we don't know who's coming until they get there. But I'd say with that regard, there's just one particular address that perhaps City Council, City staff can help us with, and that's the vacancy at Rocky Cola, which is going on 4 years now. And I don't know what it's going to take to get that to become something, but it is the entrance to town from the East End. It's very, very, very visible, and it's been shut down for 4 years. So I just present that to you to see what you can come up with, because we'd love to see it be something. Everything else is humming along. So I'm here to answer any questions you have regarding either the program or the budget.
While the iron is hot, if I may,
right, yeah.
what are we doing about this Rocky Cola? I mean, this conversation about...
I think we all get approached with that question. Yeah. What's going to happen to that?
Property owner, I don't know if he's the property owner or the leaseholder, continues to talk about reopening as a restaurant. Last I heard was a barbecue restaurant, even though there's a barbecue place, I think, immediately adjacent. At this point, it's privately owned property, though, to the extent that there was an operator that sought a business development type of assistance program similar to what council has approved previously. We could look at that, but at this point, that request hasn't come. And again, the operator, at least the last one that we are aware of, is or was continuing to move forward. There were several other properties that they own in town, or at least operate in town, and they were in the process of consolidating to move almost exclusively into Montrose. that's basically where we are.
In fact, that property owner has now taken over another property in the 2300 block, which was formerly Montrose Home Bakery, became Cafe Rose, is now going to apparently be the Pink Pig Cafe. Same individual. And that seems to be moving. That seems to be actually getting to a point where it will open. Rocky Cola, if you were to enter the room, it's gutted and has been for 4 years. So that's going to be a major redo.
There's nothing substantive that you can add to what Mr. Ochoa said as far as what's happening with
Well,
it?
the individual involved, as Mr. Ochoa has said, has been a major restaurateur player in the city of Glendale, has shut down a few of the downtown things and is focusing on Montrose. We're hoping that means we're going to see something happen on that corner. It was originally intended to be called Blue Jeans and was going to feature microbrews and such, and we were going, okay, let's do it. But I don't know if it's a permit issue, construction issue, ADA issues. That place hadn't been touched for probably a quarter of a century, so I know that any remodel is going to initiate a lot of changes. And perhaps that could be an issue, I don't know.
I wonder if we can request that economic development, maybe Jennifer can go up and or meet with the owner and just kind of get an update and see if there's any way we can kind of influence him to do a little bit more. That people are asking, people are anxious, they'd love to have something there. It is the entrance to Montrose Village, so if I'd just like to suggest that.
And I agree and I support that, but I just want to make sure that people understand why we're doing this for the former La Rocky Cola and not. Doesn't mean that we're going to do this for every other vacant commercial space. But it is the entrance to Montrose.
Yes, and it's been 4 years.
Exactly, it's been 4 years, and it's actually, I think, impacting Montrose, like an entire shopping area. So,
if you talk to its adjacency, Maureen Palacios from Once Upon a Time bookstore, she will tell you it has had a negative impact on the business.
No doubt about it. So why don't we have our economic development department deal with it?
Maybe contact them and see what can be done.
Take any help we can get. Any questions on the budget or the plan?
Any comments?
Oh,
I
have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't get an invitation to the Christmas tree lighting. What happened with that?
Neither did I.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was happening. So somehow,
I think I got spammed out. I sent them directly to you instead of through the proper channel, which we've now corrected. Okay. Instead of through the person that disperses the stuff to you that you're actually going to read. So we'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
I only say that because I love the event. Yes. My kids love the event.
And it is a Christmas tree that we like, by the way.
Don't say that word.
I said it right out loud.
It's too late.
Well, if there aren't any other comments, I just want to say that according to this, your year-end reserve is $125,000. That's your bottom line, and that's a pretty strong bottom line, I would think. So you're doing a great job. I know that your board is active, and we all love going up there, and I know you get people from all over Southern California come to the village. So congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you.
I look forward to that wine walk. Sounds like fun.
Please, $45 a ticket, and you get a $10 MSPA script certificate to spend anywhere in the shopping park. So it's really $35. It's nice. It's going to be a great event.
Yeah, sounds like
When is it again?
March 18th.
March 18th.
Then we'll do it again in November. It's Saturday, right after daylight savings, I think, Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
The 18th.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Job well done, Mr. Dawson. Okay, do I have a motion to
I'll move the item.
Second.
roll call, please?
Council members Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Devine.
Yes.
3 is Director of Economic Development regarding consideration of resolution of intention to modify activities and non-levy assessments within the Adams Square Business Improvement District. 3A is resolution of intention to modify activities by suspending assessments and billing for the calendar year 2017.
Yes, ma'am. This one is something we unfortunately have done for the last number of years because the association really ceases to exist. However, the cost to re-engineer the BID in Adams Square, we are hopeful to not incur that cost again because at some point, if the state is able to reinvigorate some type of redevelopment or dedicated economic development program, we can begin to seed the Adams Square BID with fresh funding that would be matched by a assessment by businesses. So thus your options at this point are either to approve, once again, the resolution that would suspend the assessment, so no assessment would be taken or levied, but we wouldn't disincorporate the BID, or you could direct us to just once and for all get rid of the BID altogether, but we'd have to bring that back at a later date and understand that if hopefully at some point and we wanted to move forward with the BID, we would then at that time have to retain a consultant to reestablish a BID. I will even go so far as to tell you that this BID in its current structure may need to be reconfigured, rejiggered in and of itself at some point in the future. But at this point, it's existing. It serves as a construct for anything we might do in the future. But the businesses in the area don't have an interest in levying an assessment against themselves, but nor do they want to see this necessarily go away. So our recommendation is to suspend for one more year.
Questions, comments?
I'll move the item at
Second.
3A to suspend the assessments.
And we have a second?
Yes, we do.
Roll call?
Council members Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Devine.
Yes. And that concludes. The next is adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. And now I will call to order.